as we're talking. But welcome everybody to our webinar for the end of August. I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Unicorn Marketers. They are a fantastic growth marketing company, and we're going to be going through how each of them actually use Creatify to get clients. Now, I'm going to introduce you guys to Max Finn, who's at the top. You'll see a bunch of blue. That is where all the unicorns and where they are at the top. So make sure you can see and say hello to them. But yeah, introduce you to Max, Will, Adrian, and Nigel. And my name is Niali. I am the PMM here at Creatify. All right, so before we begin, though, I want to offer some perks, obviously, for joining this webinar. And as a thank you, please join our Discord. You can scan this code and follow us and tag us on socials such as X at Creatify AI and Creatify AI Official on Instagram. I'll have this at the end as well, so don't worry if you don't scan this right now. We'll make sure to have this on the screen so you guys are able to see that. Cool. All right. Now, for unicorn marketers themselves, of course, as a huge shout out and as a thank you, please follow and tag unicorn marketers. And that is at Uni Marketers HQ on X. And the same handle is for Instagram. And the website is going to be unicornmarketers.com. All right. So for our agenda today, we're going to get into what exactly Creatify is for those who are new here, and we're going to go into what Unicorn Marketers does. Max is going to give an introduction to him as well as his unicorns, and they're each going to give individual demos of the different kinds of ways that they use Creatify's platform. And then lastly, we will end with a nice little 10-minute Q&A. So any questions that you have for the unicorns or Creatify itself, we can have a little round, a 10-minute round at the end. Okay, let's get into it. So, what exactly is Creatify? And for those who are new, thank you so much for joining. And for those who already use us, thank you for trusting us and using us as your platform. Creatify is an AI ad generation company that is trained on over $1 billion worth of ad spend in thousands of the top performing ads. Now, we offer many different things that you can do in our workspace. And the number one thing that we offer is actually having a huge library of creative inspiration. Now, this is not limited to just having a competitive ad tracker. You're able to see different kinds of meta ads that are performing well, on top of being able to see a multitude of creative inspiration that is on the winning formats such as UGC or even animated style ads. Secondly, you're able to create ads directly inside of Creatify. Now, with those who have just created videos last week or just now starting, there are many different avenues in which you can create videos. The first one is through templates. We offer thousands of templates for you to work with that include different kinds of formats and over 1,500 plus avatars for you to work with, including turning yourself into an avatar. We also offer all the top models for video and image generation. So this includes anywhere from ChatGPT or GPT-4o Image for image generation, all the way to video generation tools like Cdance 2.5. We just recently released our MCP with both Claude and ChatGPT, and this is super exciting as we have a lot of people that are juggling a lot of different kinds of spaces to work in different dashboards. So you're able to keep all of this in one seamless loop. Now we'll talk a little bit more about this and we'll watch the launch video in just a few minutes. Lastly, you're also able to generate this all on your own using a product link directly from your brand. All it takes is that single product link, and we will scrape all the information that we need to help you produce an ad that is related to your brand. Oh, did someone have a question? Oh, okay. Cool. And then lastly, thirdly, you're also able to launch directly within the platform. So we offer connections to ad management platforms such as Meta, TikTok, Google, and not limited to also just adding Snapchat and Reddit ads recently. So you're able to launch your campaigns directly there. And we recently introduced Performance Agent, which allows you to do all of that through a chat-based interface. Lastly, you're able to analyze and optimize your ad campaigns. You will see performance-informed iteration on any of the campaigns that you run. It'll tell you different kinds of creative inspiration based on your campaign, where you're losing and where you can win. All right. We work with over 15,000 users, and this includes some big brand names, including Comcast, AppLovin, Alibaba, and even Perplexity. I'm actually going to show you guys some videos that we did for Perplexity for their comment browser, and I'm super excited to get into what that video generation looks like and what we did for them. But you can see these are huge brands that we work with, and we've had great relationships and creating ads for them. All right, so as I mentioned before, we have all the different kinds of models that you can work with across image and video generation. Now, specifically with image generation and the kind of data that we have that is trained on top performing ads, you'll be able to create different kinds of static ads like the ones here. You'll see that we have an AG1 ad that was done, a home style ad that was also done, and a supplement brand. There are many different industries that you can create static image ads for, but this is a few examples that we have that have been made in Creatify itself. Next, we have our video generation, and this is Perplexity that we worked with before. And Creatify actually helped Perplexity launch their Comet browser through multiple different AI UGC ads. Now, we're going to watch actually this podcast one here. This is a really good one that we recently, or that we did a while ago.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Perplexity? Yeah, I used it for class notes. What I love is the answers come verified. No guessing if it's real. Are you familiar with Perplexity? I just checked it out once for fun, but honestly, verified sources pop up right away. Better than scrolling random forums.
Excuse me, are you familiar with Perplexity? I tried it before a quiz, super quick, and it shows where the info comes from. Did you still pick Perplexity over ChatGPT or Google? Actually, yeah, Perplexity gives good answer instead of like a bunch of SEO nonsense.
Cool. So that was one example of kind of a street interview style ad that we did for them, but there are multiple different kinds of formats that you can create with the video generation tools that we have. All right.
Was that something that you guys created in-house, or it like did I guess did Comet Browser create this themselves, or was this created for them?
We
And also, how did you guys get around the copyright stuff with Rode microphones?
Oh, yeah. So we actually did this for Perplexity. This was yeah, something we worked with them for. And I actually don't know the details about the copyright around it, but anything that we do, we make sure to check all of that with our studio. That is something that's really important to us to maintain brand safety. So anything that we've produced, it would have gone through because it was already spoken about and it was within the brand, outlined within the brand needs, essentially.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot with like a
No
legal
worries.
question. I would love to create man on the street style content, and I didn't realize that Creatify could create videos A that are this long and B that were kind of in this format.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the unicorns will get into it a little bit more of how exactly we can do that. But yeah, if we have any kind of lingering questions, I would definitely like at the end, we can answer any more of how we can create those videos inside of Creatify.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. So obviously I talked about our MCP before, and this is something that we've just released. I'm going to actually show you guys the launch video specifically for Claude. And then we're going to have Nigel, who's going to speak about how he actually uses the MCP in his own workflow. Oh, we're going to go ahead and watch that video. Cool. All right. So that was our MCP. As you can see, you take the link as a custom connector in any of ChatGPT or LinkedIn, and you're able to use Creatify directly inside of those platforms. So you're not having to juggle between different kinds of dashboards. Okay, so that kind of ends my little segment about who we are, what Creatify is. And I'd like to introduce Max Finn, who is from Unicorn Marketers, the co-founder there. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and talk a little bit more about what he does and, yeah, how he's growing his company. I'll take it away, Max.
Yeah. I'll keep this pretty brief because at the end of the day, what you guys are here for is not to hear me talk about unicorn marketers. We're here to learn from our guys, and I'm excited to have Nigel, Adrian, and Will on here to share with you. But I'll just share like a super high level. One is it's been really cool to see Creatify grow since day one. Jeremy and I have known on since they really started the company. We helped get the ads started back in the day, and seeing where it was when it first started to where it is today is pretty cool because like it's always been really great for us, but now it's like a real powerhouse that all of our unicorns are using for all of our clients on a daily basis. So it's been really exciting. You know, at a high level, what we've done at Unicorn Marketers is we basically took every single thing that we hated about the agency model and we fixed all of them systematically at a very, very high level. Jeremy and I have been in the space 15 years. We've run every type of agency you could think of, from the, mass market full service agency working with 3M and Sam's Club with our partner Kevin Harrington back in the day from Shark Tank, to the boutique high-end ultra premium agency, to the performance marketing agency. We've run businesses. We own a lot of businesses that work with agencies and hired agencies, and they all have the same flaws. They all have the same problems. I'm not saying universally. There's several that are, still pretty good, but basically we found that the best marketers in the world, the best growth marketers in the world, the Adrians and the Nigels and the Wills that are going to share with you, they don't work at agencies, right? So if you're going to work with these guys and you want them running your ad accounts and growing your business, you're not going to find them at an agency. The incentives aren't aligned. There's a lot of reasons for that. And over the years, we had lots of personal connections. Friends reach out to us and say, hey, can you help me find a marketer? Can you help find a media buyer? Because we had just built such a large community through education businesses. We taught over 10,000 marketers, early days in Facebook ads, early days in TikTok ads. And we're like, why don't we just do this as a business? And so that's what we did. So we launched Unicorn Marketers about a year ago. And what we've done is we've built the most rigorous vetting process in the industry, 79-point vetting process, identifying the world's best marketers, putting them into our ecosystem. They're part of a Slack community, a mastermind, multiple calls a week. We then match those businesses that come in with those marketers. And so if you wanted to work with us, we would put you through our assessment. We'd find all the holes in your business, learn about your business, produce more for you on that assessment than your agency probably produces in 3 months. We make multiple funnels, multiple creatives with Creatify, persona research. We find all the holes in your business, and then we match you with two of the best options in our roster. And if you know, like those options, you pick that marketer, they're a part of your team on a fractional basis, and they go to town. And one of the things that they do is what they're going to show you today. And I'm going to hand it off to them in terms of using cutting edge AI, using our different partners like Creatify to produce a high volume of not just, a high volume of ad, but a high volume of really high quality ads that are constantly getting better as they learn your business. So I'm really excited about today because, I run the business, but at the end of the day, like, and I used to be more in the weeds. I'm not nearly as in the weeds as I used to be. These guys are living and breathing it every single day. And I'm always learning. So really excited for Nigel and Adrian and Will to show what they're going to teach you today. I know it's exciting stuff, and I know all of you are going to learn a lot from it. So I'll let you guys take it away. And at the end of the call, if there's any questions that I can, chime in on, provide value on, I'll be sure to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. That was awesome. And we're super excited to kind of go straight into meeting the unicorns. So I'm going to let Will, Adrian, and Nigel introduce themselves. And also we'll get into the next slide of what exactly they're going to be covering of how to use Creatify and the different tools. All right, guys, take it away.
Cool. I can start. So yes, I'm Nigel. I'm a unicorn marketeer. I've been in this business running ads for around 10 years, just about 10 years. I work with D2C and SaaS mainly. And yeah, in my demo, I'm going to be showing you the first few steps before I head into Creatify, and then I'm going to show you some results we can generate with Creatify. As Max said, Creatify has been a huge powerhouse for us recently. We use it literally every day. Every marketeer uses it differently. So I think from my observation, there's a few steps which brands and operators actually miss. So that is what I'm going to be getting into, as in what we should not miss as marketers or as brand owners, basically. So I'll hand it over to Will to introduce himself.
Yeah, I could step in. I think Will is having some issues with connection, but anyways, my name is Adrian, and it's great to be here with you guys. I've been in advertising for about 15 years or so, and I would say I'm probably more on the strategist side as far as from a creative standpoint. And so one of the things I'm going to show you guys here shortly is just kind of how I use AdFlow. So when I'm more of the on the scientific side, and so if there's other people that are here, I think probably I'm not as I consider myself a creative person, but when it comes to the technical skills of design and video editing, it is definitely not my wheelhouse. And so, over the past, 15 years or so that I've worked with brands, I've always had to have a creative team that could execute on the ideas that I would probably implement. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen with Creatify is just that ability to take an idea from concept and then execute it using the platform and the tool. And I think what's been great about it is just how it's exponentially allowed me to just work with different creative assets within a matter of minutes. And I think it's really allowed me to just be more powerful for the brands that I work with, and that I can kind of help. So yeah, so I can show you a little bit about AdFlow if you like, or Nigel, if there's anything specific that you wanted to dive into, we can do that.
Yeah, I can get started on my end, and then I can hand over to you, Adrian.
Okay, great.
I think I see Will actually. I just saw him.
He
He wants to do a
okay.
quick little intro.
Hey guys, my name is Will. I'm going to be sharing some strategies on ad production through the platform because I've used it a ton. But yeah, excited to share with you guys.
Awesome. Now, yeah, we can go ahead and get started. I'll let you guys go ahead and share your screen. I'm going to stop sharing on my end so that could be a little
Cool.
easier. You do that, stop share. All right, take it away.
Cool. I'm now sharing my screen. Everything is visible, right?
Yes, you're all good.
Cool. Very good. Cool. So I'm going to get straight into it. Basically, I'm going to get into like the objections straight away that I see with people and advertisers using something like Creatify. So what the process usually is, they pick up a tool like Creatify, run a few ads, get nothing back, and kind of quietly give up on it. And the conclusion they draw is basically that the tool didn't work. In my opinion, that is not what's happening, and that's not a Creatify problem. It's that basically they handed the job to a tool that doesn't know a single thing about their customer or about what's already working in their market, and basically asked it to produce something that converts. I think they jump into creative production, which is obviously the fun bit. That is what they're paying for the tool for. But I feel like skipping these steps, which I'm going to be going through, is the make or break when it comes to creating something that converts on Creatify. So this diagram, I've built it today. I've based it on a popular brand. Most of the people here are familiar with brands. I'm showing here a few of these skills. So what you're looking here at is a minimum set of skills and tools I use to produce the ads that I'm going to be showing you at the end. So it's not everything we run. This is basically the minimum that still gets you there. So these are skills that we've built at Unicorn Marketeers. And I want to be upfront. Every marketeer here at Unicorn is going to be operating slightly different. Okay, so everyone has their own research process. Everyone has their own tools, their own way of building personas. You could literally swap out every single box in the analysis column for your own version, and the system kind of still works if you're obviously building it on skills that are getting the right information. So what this analysis layer actually is, just to kind of give you a brief explanation, the brand extraction is basically how this brand actually sounds, what they promise, what proof they lean on, and what things they carefully can never say, basically. So that is what stops the ad from sounding like AI wrote it, which is like the biggest issue when it comes to creating ads on Creatify. The persona architect is what gives you the audience in their own words, what they already believe, what they've tried and got burned by, and what they'd have to believe for this product to make sense. Then we've got a couple of like awareness and sophistication skills that tells you what this market has already been sold 100 times. So you know what you've already allowed to say without sounding like kind of everyone else. And basically all these other skills that we've built kind of internally around breakthrough advertising, which is around awareness stages. So over here, you can see also my inputs. Foreplay is a creative library tool, which I use to kind of pull ads, pull working ads being ran by top brands as well, which we can use later in Creatify to kind of emulate their winning elements. Reviews, so we can build the ads based on the actual reviews, and a few reference ads, which I'm going to be showing you in the next few slides. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and head into Claude. Just 1 second, because I would like to show you how this actually looks. So this is basically what I was sharing in the diagram here. When I mentioned the brand extractor, this is what I was referring to. So basically what I've done here, as you can see, there's a couple of different outputs and skills which I was utilizing on this project. I started here, so every DTC owner or every marketer and operator, if they're working on a new client, I would suggest that they start with extracting the brand here. So I've used a skill here, extracted the brand, it pulled everything. So we've got fonts, you've got colors, and you've got everything else, which you might miss. So this is already a very important step. If you head into Creatify and start creating an image ad for your brand without this step, then obviously you're off on the wrong foot, because obviously it's going to start hallucinating and creating things how it thinks it should be. Then over here, as you can see, using very simple English, basically asked it to use the persona architect skill, angle architect skills, and we started building everything basically. So those skills that I've shown you in the diagram there is what I've been using here to create this in like literally minutes. So within 10 minutes, I've had everything here. And as you can see, before I go into the spreadsheet that it's created, I've started utilizing here the Creatify MCP, which is saving me a ton and a ton of time, basically. So without leaving Claude, where I've actually built all the client information here, with all the reviews and everything else, I basically started creating ads directly in Creatify. So as you can see, this is Creatify working here. There's going to be some back and forth, obviously, until you get it to do what you want it to do. So just communicate it normally and in simple English with it. Over here, you can see the Creatify MCP in use as well. It's asking me to upload the reference files based on what I was basically asking it for. And over here, these are the 4 reference images I've used. You can obviously take it another step and use another tool. I'm here using the 4Play MCP to pull ads which have been running for over 3 months. So these are proven concepts that are working. I've asked it basically to perform a forensic ad breakdown on these 4 unique stepcats, and then obviously create them based on the personas that we've built. And over here, as you can see, it's still working. It's building them on the actual personas, and it's basically going to work here. Now I'm going to share my other screen. Before I go into Creatify, basically all those skills in conjunction with each other built me this 4o document. As you can see, there's 12 tabs there. Everything lands here, basically. This is the green box from the diagram. So 12 tabs, 167 formulas, every persona scored, every angle ranked. It's that from this point forward, nothing I generate is a guess. So every creative that comes out traces back to a row here. So it has a stated reason to exist, basically. So when it wins, I know what won. And when it loses, I've actually learned something instead of just spending money. So as you can see here, it's built with the personas, angles, the headlines we need to test, the offers, psychology matrix, everything else. And I've got a testing roadmap, which I can follow as well. Now, if we go into Creatify, the last thing, you can see here, it's generated me quite good ads. It's pulling in the brand guidelines. It's using the right fonts, the right colors. I've given it the 4 or 8 reference images I've given it built on ads that actually converted. And now it's created something which has a meaning. So everything I've created here can more or less go to market straight away. So this took me minutes, let's say 30 minutes. I already have ads here. I can start testing different messages, personas, angles, hypotheses. And you can take it up another level where all the data that you are gathering on Meta, for example, is going back to that spreadsheet, kind of recording what's going on. But as you can see, the ads are perfect. It's using the right packaging, the right colors. I've also went in here. I'm going to show you this one quickly. You can generate images you can generate video versions of them. Somewhere over here, I've got. I've got a video here somewhere here to show you. I'm not sure if I can find it. There we go. So as you can see, perfect. It didn't adjust or blur the copy. It's using something. So usually the way I like to kind of get into this video creation is I used to test on statics. I start testing on static ads. Then if something is working, I start animating it. And then if obviously a concept is working, I go back into Claude and ask it how I can create 15, 20, 30 different versions of it. So that's how you kind of stay one step ahead of the curve. You keep testing and you win on volume. But in my opinion, it's impressive. The quality, everything is perfect. The copy it's using, obviously, it's built on data, so it makes sense. And yeah, as Max said, Creatify has been a huge powerhouse for us, and it's allowing us to scale a lot of D2C brands. So I think that's all for me. I'll hand over to Will. But yeah, we'll have a Q&A at the end of this. Any questions you guys have, ask me and I can answer.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. I actually do have one little kind of question for you, just to kind of wrap your portion up. So obviously, Adrian's going to be talking about AdFlow. Will's also going to be covering Model Playground. I want to understand, what is it about Model Playground that has, helped you? Why do you choose that tool specifically, right? In comparison to you using all the other ones in Creatify, for example.
Yeah. Yes, that's a very good question. So the way I like Model Playground is that Model Playground gives me access to multiple different models. So if it comes to just static ad creation, I think there's around 15 to 20 different models, which I can use for the specific ad that I need. Now, for these ads that I was showing you, I was using the GPT Image 2 model. And I believe for D2C brands, that is one of the most popular ones, and one of the most effective ones. Model Playground is something that I feel like the Creatify MCP can work really smooth on. And it has the biggest effect, especially when you're testing volume, testing different ads, which can literally be created in less than 5 minutes. So Model Playground, apart from the other features I use on Creatify, would be at the top of my list. I literally use it every day, and I've seen accounts improve tremendously since I've kind of put that into my workflow.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna hand it off to you, Will.
Sounds good. Hey, everyone. All right, let me share my screen. All right, so I'm mostly going to be talking about making realistic AI ads. Now, I'm going to jump back into Creatify after I just high level go through some of these. But I, when I first got introduced to the platform, I really wanted to understand how I could make realistic AI ads, not really have to depend on the creator. And so this is what I've kind of found through prompt engineering, through iterating on a ton of different prompts and then the output behind it. So the first thing is when you get into Creatify, you're going to see a ton of engines. The first thing is you have to figure out what's best for what use case. So what I found is Juan and Seedance are both very good for UGC. I think Juan was slightly better, with Seedance having a much better lip sync function, where if you need someone to speak, then it is prefer they use Seedance. GPT-2 probably has the most realistic images if you're trying to make something UGC-like and anchor a character, while Kling has the most input slots. So within Kling, you're going to have a lot of options. For example, if you need something more complex, like having someone hold your product in hand and have like a really short clip with that, Kling is going to be very good for that. And then, as Nigel said, with picking the engines, Nano Banana both GP and GPT-2 are both very good at reading layout directions. I think I found that Nano Banana is slightly better just because it generates the images quicker and takes less credits. Now, let me go to my own Creatify and show you how I test for prompts and how that entire kind of process works. All right, so the first thing is on model playground. I will be going here. So this is basically where you enter. And when you enter it, you are going to see a bunch of different inputs. So for most of mine, I use image to video because I like to have an anchor image so the engine doesn't veer too far. Um, but you have the option here if you want to produce a video, you have text to video, image to video, video to video. And then if you want to do an image, you have text to image and image to image. So you'll see here, this is my first attempt at trying to make a realistic looking UGC. And you'll see that like in the beginning, this looks off. It just doesn't look realistic, right? And I'm basically testing like this prompt right here. I'm getting them from Claude and I'm testing them through like every engine that is available to me. And then eventually, as I scroll up, I figure that like, okay, maybe using an image is better. And then I'm testing the images, and you'll see here that GPT-2 by far has like the most realistic out of all of these engines. So now I know that if I want to use an image and I want to make UGC, then I'm likely using GPT-2. And then as I scroll up, you'll see these clips will get more and more realistic looking just because I started figuring out, okay, how should the lighting look? How should the motion look? Um, and it's basically um, a consistent like conversation with, whatever you're using, whether it's Cloud or ChatGPT, to figure out what the best inputs are. And then eventually, when I go all the way up here, I'm able to figure out like using Juan and C dance probably create the best. And so this is probably like when it gets a lot better. And basically through this process, I've been able to completely automate the B-roll production um, part of video production. So, when you have a video, you have like a UGC talking head, you want someone like acting out the scenes. Like this has supplemented that a lot and helped me a lot in terms of just not having to really either buy B-roll or have a creator shoot. And I basically went through the same process with the other formats. So here you'll see like a street interview being done. At this point, I already kind of have like the image locked in. And so for this one, what I ended up doing was locking in like the voice and the delivery. So like coding in like certain things like pauses or, you know, she sounds, timid or she's very bold. Like these are things I coded into the actual prompt at this point where it outputs something that looks like someone who, felt that in real life. Um, so I would say when you're looking through these, the first thing you want to look at is, what makes a video read as real. So things like camera shake, visual quality, the gaze, the lighting, the delivery. And so for each of these like formats, I was able to develop like certain things. For UGC, it was like the camera shake, like making it look like you're holding a selfie. And this is this ended up being like what made the best output, which is using language like tiny grip recorrections, micro movement, phone held loosely on one hand. For the podcast one, this one was done with higher quality, like kind of framing, where I told it, hey, like make sure the quality is shot with like we ended up deciding the Sony FX3. The there's no camera shake, so the camera is complete still the entire time, and making it look like a high production video shoot, basically. And then this is the last one for camera shake. I can just play the clip really quickly on the final production. But again, this uses like an anchor image and then has the prompt. And then again, with all these prompts, you can build them into skills like, that were showed earlier. So you can get them for whatever product, whatever scene, whatever mood you kind of want.
Are you starting based on existing avatars in there, or are you creating your own avatars?
Yeah, I'm creating my own. So if you look back into this project, like all of these images are generated first thing.
Mhm.
And so you, then once you have the image, you can kind of pick and you can be like, okay, this person might be too far from the camera. This person might be too close to the camera. And then kind of like make it so it fits whatever you need to do. So this person is like, it almost like has like a phone on like a windowsill or a desk and they're not holding it. Where
Mhm.
like this person, these guys down here are holding the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
cool. Okay, cool. And then I'll just wrap up here really quickly. So, okay. So what can you now produce because of that? So you can produce like a street interview interaction. You can have like the conversation happen between two people where one person is off camera or they're both on camera. You can have it where like someone walks up to someone and interviews them. You can have a podcast kind of thing where, you have two people talking to each other across the table. And then of course with UGC, you can have like a normal talking head where someone shoots it selfie style and then splice whatever B-roll you need along with that. Um, and that can be like an end-to-end production. And after you've done it a few times, it becomes very clear what makes like a better output versus a worse output. Save that within Cloud or whatever you're using, and then just repeat that across formats and across brands. The one thing I will say is like, I think there's two big things to know when you're prompt engineering is the first thing is references are definitely your best friend. So if you can feed it things that will work, that's gonna help it a lot. Whether it's videos, images, like it has like a good enough engine where it can at least analyze some of the video, even though it's not perfect, to let you know like what is working in it and to inform like the output on what's going to make a better prompt. And even though like some of these took a lot of testing, I found that like um generally speaking, if you can make the prompts more concise, the better it'll be because when you overdo it, it kind of confuses the engine a lot of times. And so I've had that happen where, you don't need to go overboard. Like if you do this for a few hours every day for a week, you're gonna probably have a very, very good base for prompt engineering and understand what works and what doesn't across all of these like really popular platforms. Cool. But yeah, that kind of wraps up my part.
Cool. Love that. Obviously, you talked about references, and I'm going to throw you kind of another question, but how do you determine like what is a good reference versus what isn't a good reference? Because this is a big thing for the models, right? And seeing what is, good. And it also depends on, what you're creating. But for you and yourself, when you're kind of finding those references, what's your kind of deterministic kind of layer there when you're having a reference?
Yeah, I would say two things. Like whatever you're using, whether it's ad library or foreplay, like if something like visually sticks out to you or something like captures your attention, definitely save it, mark it down, and then like try and understand why. A lot of times you can ask Claude, like why is this unique or what sticks out about it? And it'll give you a pretty good answer. And it'll a lot of times be able to like reverse engineer that prompt. And then the other thing is like when you're digging through ads, like and you've seen like a lot of ads, you'll know immediately like certain things that stick out. And so when you find those things, just try and recreate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Now, Adrian, take it away.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of share with you guys just a little bit about AdFlow. For me, AdFlow was a really powerful tool that I started using kind of in my creative process. So to kind of recall, like I'm not a designer. My background's not design. If you were to like even like me using Canva, sometimes I struggle with it, right? And so like AdFlow, and one of the things that I would find that is when I would create like UGC videos, or to have these ideas of how to like split and put together different videos, I would oftentimes get stuck in the editing process. And so it was a few weeks ago, like our team internally, we just kind of had this fun idea. It's like, hey, who can create like an ad for Unicorn using Creatify? And so at the time, I just got introduced to AdFlow. And so I started just thinking about it. Like I went outside, went on a walk, and started thinking about like just these creative ideas of something fun of how can we promote what we're doing at Unicorn. And so all I did was, and this is like this workflow, I think anybody can really take it and use it because it's super simple, and I'll show you the end result. But I went on a walk. I started getting an idea. I literally opened up ChatGPT while I was walking, turned on the voice, dictation, just started telling ChatGPT just my idea, this concept, told it to create a script. And the idea is like, when you're at school, and if you have kids, like I have 3 kids, and they're all in school and they just started, and there's that scene in school, I think, where the teacher's like, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And everybody goes through this whole process of like, "Oh, I want to be a fireman," or "I want to be a teacher or a veterinarian." And then I thought, well, how funny would it be if there was one kid that was like, "I want to be a unicorn marketer," and then he kind of starts listing off like all these ideas as to why. So I'm like telling, ChatGPT this whole idea for this script, and then I'm starting to give it references of like different directors and movies that I like. And so then it spits out this 30 to 45-second script that I then literally, I kid you not, all I did is I went and copied that script and I pasted it into AdFlow. Okay, so I didn't even really have to go through and edit it. I didn't do anything like that. I just went in and provided it my logo, put it in AdFlow, and it literally took that script from ChatGPT and then started going to town and going to work and creating the images and creating the scenes and editing the scenes together and putting the music together. And then the final result, I was just kind of blown away. And I was like, wow, like now it's like with any AI thing that you're working with, it's not perfect, right? But like the time that it took for me to implement an idea that I had, from idea to execution, was probably 30 to 45 minutes once you get everything done. And then after it was done, I went in, I started tweaking it, right? And then this is kind of where I'm like, well, I don't like this music that I picked out. So then I went in and like, let me change this music, or I don't like this scene, and let me go in and give it a different prompt within AdFlow. And so I'll share with you just a little bit about what that looks like. So in here, this is kind of AdFlow, right? This is kind of like the final project. So after I went in, and dropped in, the script that ChatGPT put together, it started creating all these images and it started putting it together. And then within this, if there's something that I didn't like, for some reason, maybe I didn't like the way that the teacher was looking or her reaction, like in here within the prompts, I can change it and then I can update it. And then once you get all this said and done, then you just go into render video, and then it puts together the final piece. So what I like to do is just kind of share this final video with you guys, if that's cool. It's like, I think it's like 30 to 45 seconds. So let's check it out.
I think your volume might not be working on this. Is it?
Oh, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let me reshare and then share my volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably helped. There you go.
All right, class. Today we are talking about what we want to be when we grow up. Sarah?
A vet.
Wonderful.
An astronaut.
Excellent. Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A unicorn marketer.
I'm sorry, a what?
A unicorn marketer. It's a mythical creature that can generate revenue out of thin air. They understand human behavior, psychology, sales, offers, funnels. They know positioning and market awareness and customer journeys. They are not like agencies that promise the moon and then send you a monthly report explaining why nothing happened. They are not the people who say, "We are very excited about the engagement metrics," while sales are falling off a cliff.
Johnny, those are just stories. Unicorn marketers are not real.
That's what the agencies want you to believe.
Excuse me?
Impressions don't pay the bills. One day I'm gonna find them, learn their secrets, and become one.
Okay. Who wants to be a firefighter?
Unicorn marketer!
Anyways, yeah, so this was, and then from there, I was kind of having some fun with it and kind of like, like I said, I was kind of tweaking it inside of AdFlow to get the final result. But that just kind of shows you just like the power of an idea that you can have in concept using a tool like ChatGPT, and then throwing that script into AdFlow and then coming up with the final product. And I'll say, like, for me, like, having a multi-scene video in AI was always like super hard to pull off. Like I remember before I was using AdFlow, there was times where I'd literally spend hours trying to piece two scenes together, and I just couldn't do it for the life of me. And then I think when I found this concept, I was like, okay, yeah, this is kind of like, I feel like next level for me. So anyway, so yes, that was a super simple, easy way that you can use ChatGPT and AdFlow to create some really compelling content.
That was awesome. That video was great. It was perfect to add. I think everyone else enjoyed it too a lot.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Well, I love that you showed AdFlow. I mean, AdFlow is a huge tool for us. And I think also, and to your point, someone who maybe doesn't come from a more creative background, it does make it a lot easier in terms of access. We have Copilot that can help you kind of formulate those notes for you. But yeah, I would love to ask too, what kind of, given the way that you form that video, what kind of models you're usually using, and why you choose those kind of models. I think that's really interesting because a lot of people don't understand the difference sometimes. So if you could maybe speak a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not a super technical guy. I'm not like so like I think I use Nano Banana for the pictures. I think I'd actually, to be completely transparent and completely honest, I'd have to actually go look to see what models it was using. Because like all I know is that like I kind of have an idea of like, okay, this is what I want the pacing to be like. This is what this I want the scene to be like. I feel like these are kind of like the punchlines that I want to have. So like that part I would kind of work on with ChatGPT, and then I literally just diverted to whatever creative I used as far as the models and stuff. So Nano Banana I think was in there, and I think probably some of the other ones, but honestly I probably couldn't tell you. So I mean, if that's just to show you, like if I can pull that off, then I don't think you have to be a technical, super technical type of person,
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, like yeah. So
For sure. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. That was amazing. And I think it covered so many different ways that we could use Creatify. I'm
mhm.
actually going to reshare my screen and we're actually going to leave this to do a little bit of a Q&A. Give me 1 second here. Cool. And go through all your slides. Awesome. So we have our Discord link here. So anybody that wants to join our Discord and also follow our socials, as well as follow Unicorn Marketers, I'm actually going to open up the floor now. So any questions that you guys have, go ahead and drop them into the chat. I'm excited to kind of hear what you guys have to say. I know one question was lingering that we were talking about earlier. I'm actually going to go back and see now. Give me 1 second. So believe it was a question for Nigel. Um, why did you choose Claude over the others available? And this looks like you're using Claude Cowork, the desktop app, and not the browser, right? So that's one
Yeah.
question for you.
So yeah, I'm using Claude. I mean, I still use ChatGPT, but I think there was a couple of different reasons. I started on ChatGPT and then kind of moved over to Claude. I've got like personal reasons why, and also like some more kind of commercial reasons. So my personal reasons is that all the unicorn skills that we are building, we share DMD files. They're very easy to kind of use amongst the marketeers at Unicorn, and obviously we're staying ahead and creating like the latest and greatest kind of skills there. And then in terms of like Claude versus ChatGPT, let's say, I felt like over the long run, it produces like more natural human sounding copy. It maintains brand consistency over long documents. And I feel like it has a massive context window as well. So whatever brand guidelines or the documents or the context I have there, I feel like it does a much better job than other AI tools in the market right now, as in going back there, making sure that it's not missing anything or forgetting that I've shared some sort of copy. And obviously the MCP connectors, such as the Creatify MCP and all the other tools now have MCPs. I feel like they work quite smooth on Claude. So that was kind of my reason on why I've kind of moved everything into Claude. The reason why I use Claude Cowork, so Claude Desktop instead of browser, is I think when you're like a power user of Claude, you kind of need to switch to desktop. Just because most of my files are on local, they're saved on my desktop, for example. So I've given it access to all my local files. If I ask it to find something, I don't have to always kind of upload or find where it is. I can actually tell it that it is in my client folder, that kind of finds it on its own. So it saves me time. and I can have it working on, let's say, 2, 3 different clients on different complete projects. Whereas if I was using browser, then I feel like browser is a bit slower there, and I often find myself correcting it more than 1 or 2 times when it's looking for stuff or trying to give me the final output. So those would be the reasons why I've selected Claude and why I select Claude desktop over browser.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. And Will, I think there's a question that you were actually just responded to, but for VSLs with Creatify, any kind of high level tips that you can give to this particular person about VSLs? There's another.
So Creatify has a feature called like the avatar creation, which is more like longer form video. So you're going to use that to basically create like the long form talking head. And then it can be pretty long. Like you can make easily like one output can last like 5 minutes, like make a 5 minute video. And so use that and then splice in B-roll afterwards. But it will give you the raw talking head footage with just that one feature on Creatify.
Cool. And another question that we have is anyone using Creatify or Claude with their own video assets to spit out social shorts, such as Reels, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts? Any of you guys have an answer for that one, maybe?
I mean, it's possible. Personally, I haven't been using that one a lot, but it is possible. Like in Creatify, you have options to upload your own assets. You have like the editor there, which you can use basically to kind of stitch them up together. So it is possible. I've kind of tried it briefly, and it was working okay. You just obviously need to spend some time there to kind of finalize everything. But I'm not doing it personally, but it is possible.
Cool. Adrian or Will have anything about that one? Or cool. All right. So someone says they have a large breadth of brand documentation, ICPs, personas, brand guidelines, but a non-technical team as it pertains to Claude, skill creation, MCP, and integration. Can we utilize Creatify's internal platform to generate ads that are consistently on brand the way Nigel was displaying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're using Claude, for example, I would suggest you upload those documentation into Claude. You create a project on Claude. Let's say you're using Claude Desktop. You create a project. You upload everything in there, or you can upload them in a local document on your desktop and give access to Claude for that project. So every ad that you are creating in Creatify, make sure that the prompts you are generating on Claude to create these ads is always pulling in all the context from the documentation that you've provided it with. So that is kind of what I do. When I start working with a brand, I get all the documentation they have. So brand guidelines, all the VOC, all the information, personas, everything else. And then anything that comes out from Claude regarding prompts or anything else has always gone through that sort of context that I've given it. So Creatify is the tool that creates the ads. So you can't go directly to it with that documentation, but you have everything in Claude. Make sure that the prompt you are generating to create the ad has all that context, and you'll be fine. That is how most people at Unicorn are basically using it.
So what if I have a team that doesn't really understand how, like I personally have I would say a semi decent understanding of how Claude works, and I'm familiar with MCP
Yeah.
integrations, but I have a kind of a growth team that is has a lot of ad needs, and I would like to be able to go like, hey, here's all of our documentation. Can they plug that directly into Creatify without having to, have a great understanding with Claude, and be able to generate some of the same quality of the things that you displayed?
So short answer is yes. However, it's going to take more time
Yeah.
because what Claude is exceptionally good at is obviously understanding what you need and creating the perfect prompt. Now, in my opinion, when I've gone away from Claude and tried to create something directly into Creatify, there is a lot of room for human error. So on Creatify, I feel like if you're creating a static ad, you will always need to add like the brand guidelines in there in each and every prompt. So you're going to have to do that manually. And if you obviously miss one of them, then Creatify is going to create something without that piece of the puzzle, basically.
Right.
So there needs to be some sort of AI. It doesn't have to be Claude, even if it's on ChatGPT, which I know is like common as well. Even if you want to start from step one, where you're uploading the brand guidelines into the browser for ChatGPT, you ask it to analyze them. And then when you're creating an ad, you kind of ask it to pull all that context there. So it's very beginner friendly, very user friendly. But in my opinion, if you go straight into Creatify, you're going to end up wasting more time just to get that sort of quality you're after. It's possible, but it needs more time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It sounds like you lean towards getting everybody upskilled to the point where they feel comfortable utilizing Claude and an MCP integration to create what they need and creating the skills necessary to be able to get us what they want.
Exactly. Like even if you don't want to use the MCP for Creatify, for example, before the Creatify MCP was created, we used to do it manually. So we used to get the prompt from Claude, then go into Creatify and kind of paste it there. But writing everything manually and expecting that sort of quality, I think is going to be a difficult hill to climb.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate your detailed answer.
No worries at all.
Cool. And I'm going to answer one question from Katie. Will you be having more tactical webinars step by step of how to build a video versus like a more overview Zoom? Yeah, Katie, because of time, we would love to have been able to go deeper into each of these things. But in the future, we'll definitely consider having more tactical webinars where we can go deeper into these workflows and understanding how exactly to do that. And I think we'll end with one more question because we're kind of tight on time. But as a beginner, what are the tools to use apart from ChatGPT? Do you guys have a recommendation of those other tools? Yeah, that's the next question, and we'll end there.
Are you talking about general AI tools or just like creative tools? Or I guess that would be one thing I'd be curious about.
Yeah.
I mean, I can answer both. So like,
Yeah, let's
I
answer
think
both.
like
Let's do both. Yeah.
yeah. So general AI tools. I mean, yeah, I think like ChatGPT is really good. Claude, I use Claude for everything, pretty much. And using the skills that we have at kind of like with the Unicorn team, it basically opens up a lot of opportunities and possibilities. I mean, the biggest thing I think is just get in there and start playing around with it, and then to start learning from it. And I think you'll discover pretty quickly that they're pretty easy to use. And then some of the more technical stuff, like even learning about Nigel's process today, I kind of learned a few things too. And then honestly, for like the Creatify, like it for me, like of all the creative tools that I've used in the past, I mean, I really don't necessarily need to really use any other thing else than Creatify, just because of everything that's encompassing within the platform. And so I use it for like the images. The MCP thing that was recently introduced to me was a big game changer, because I feel like before I was having to copy and paste prompts in between, and I was creating anywhere from like 20 to 25 images for a campaign every week. And so now it's gotten to a point where you can literally just connect that, and it's super simple. I mean, it's not hard to do. And I think one of the things I've learned too is that like whenever you get stuck on something, you're like, how do I do this? I mean, the easiest way to kind of figure it out is just ask Claude or ask whatever tool you're using. How do I do this? And it can help you, give you step by steps. I always throw stuff in there. It's like, explain to me like I'm five, like I don't necessarily know, and then it'll usually make it a little bit simpler. So that would be kind of my input.
Cool. All right. So I think those are all the questions we're going to take, and it seems like we answered most of them. But just thank you guys so much for joining and for showing us your workflows with Creatify. I'm sure this was super insightful. And to those who are asking for more tactical webinars, definitely we will have that in the future, and we'll be doing monthly webinars. So if there's anything else that you guys would like to see or learn more about, please, message us, let us know. We can definitely make those happen. But thank you so much to the unicorns. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Nigel. Thanks, Max and Will. This was awesome. So can't wait to learn more. And I'll have the recording. It'll be posted publicly on the YouTube. So anybody that does want to come back and watch anything that they've discussed in this webinar, you'll be able to do so on our YouTube. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.